Welcome to the Date Forever podcast. Keep your relationship fueled up with strategies discovered by couples and experts. Because at Fuel Collective, we believe better relationships will equal a better world. You are about to discover specific insights and tools that cost little or nothing to implement to help you date forever. And now, here are your hosts, a couple who always have a half-packed suitcase and a date night in the calendar, Sammy and Nathan Yeager.
Welcome to the Date Forever podcast. In today's episode, we chat to Karl Schwantes from Xenox Diamonds. Things we chat about are creating romantic rituals and moments of surprise for your partner, the engaged to be engaged stage of a relationship, and how relationships evolve in line with your stage of life. Now let's get into it.
Welcome to the Date Forever podcast, everyone. Today we are welcoming the Diamond Guy, Karl Schwantes. He is a leader in the jewelry world and the community. What Karl loves most about being a jeweler is creating unforgettable experiences that celebrate life's breathtaking events. Karl is the father of 4 children and author of Rock Her World. Welcome to the show, Karl.
Hey guys, glad to be here.
Thanks for being here. So you really play a special part in people's love stories. So how did that all come about and how did you become a jeweler?
That's a really good question. I guess it goes back a long time. So it's a second generation family business. So my parents started it 44 years ago, and I've been doing it now for over 24 years. And I say 24 years kind of like conservatively, because that's kind of pitching it at about 18 when I started. But really, for anybody that's ever worked in a family business, it's probably closer to 30. So I think I started making my first rings when I was about 14. And my dad would give me these apprentice exercises to make. And it always holds like a really special place in my heart because I sort of still have these memories of watching my dad make these beautiful pieces and, you know, heating up metal to as like burning red hot and then quenching it. And it kind of made me think of like the old days of, you know, King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. So I have this kind of real love, not just for the jewelry side of things, but you know, creating those amazing experiences. And for the last 24 years, I've worked as a jeweler, diamond grader, gemologist, and also an international award-winning author as well.
A few feathers in the bow there.
Yeah.
Or in the cap. Is it feathers in the cap? I think it's feathers in the cap. So, Karl, you kind of alluded to it there that what you do at Xenox is more than just sell and make jewelry, but it's really about the experience. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and why it's so special?
Yeah, so one of my mentors is actually Richard Branson, and I was very fortunate to spend a couple of weeks with him at his home on Necker Island and also at Ulu Saba, which is his personal private retreat in South Africa. And he's always been someone that I've really looked up to because, you know, he doesn't really kind of stay within the lines of this is the way it's always been done and here are the rules. And he really came at it from a point of view when he was setting up Virgin that if I was going to fly, you know, how would I want to be treated on the plane? What is the experience that I would really love? And so when I was, you know, taking over the family business, that's the way I really looked at it and go, well, if I was going to go into a jewelry store and buy an engagement ring, what would I want that to look like? And ultimately, what would I do if there were no rules? And there was no one out there telling me, nah, that won't work, can't do that. And so I just kind of made it the way I would want to have it. And so, you know, in our showroom, for those of you who have been there and you haven't been yet.
I'm waiting for Nathan to invite me.
Yeah, that's right. So, you know, we have a Scotch bar for the guys and champagne bar for the ladies. And, you know, it always comes back from this central premise for me is like, what is the one thing that I can do for a client when I'm in front of them that they would never expect? You know, so when they come in, it's not just, you know, Johnny Walker Red and Cokes, although you can have that if you really want to. It's all really top shelf stuff and things that people wouldn't ordinarily get to see. And we just make them feel really special at home. You know, the old saying is like the old family jeweler, but we kind of do that in a slightly different way. And one of the first things that you see when you walk in through the showroom is actually the jewelers in-house crafting these beautiful pieces. So, you know, they're front and center. And then there's this amazing chandelier that I designed. It's got 83,000 Swarovski crystals in it.
That's a big number.
Yeah, it took the team and myself over 380 hours to make. And all of that is just for that, like, wow, you know, when people come in. But we just want to make them feel really special because my ultimate aim is that they leave feeling like they've been part of something really special. And they have, you know, celebrating you know, a pending engagement, a wedding, a birth of a child, anniversary, birthday. I mean, these are like life's really special moments. And I guess I feel really privileged to help our clients along that journey. And having done it now for 24 years, I get out of bed every day and I can't wait to come to work because, every day is different, different stories, people I meet, and just ultimately helping them along their journey is just a tremendous gift.
Yeah. So I guess you've talked a bit about that in-store experience, but I guess you're probably also involved in a bit of crafting the external experience of actually gifting a ring or presenting it during a proposal or something like that. So can you just tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, look, I would love to say that the average Aussie male is a romantic at heart, but it really hasn't been my experience. So sorry to say that for the Aussie guys out there, but they know that they're in love and they're committed to this person and they want to spend the rest of their life with them. But, so much of their thought process is consumed by, I've got to find a ring and, will she love it? And, all of these other things. And how do I make sure that I don't stuff it up and all that? And the next thing that they have to think about is, okay, well, now that I've got this ring, what's next? How am I going to ask her? And sometimes the guys like to really over plan it. And they almost think about it more about how they want to give it rather than how she wants to receive it. And I guess what I try and help them as a little bit of a proposal coach is I get them just to kind of understand that, for most ladies, they've been thinking about a pending proposal for some time. And sometimes it's even before they've met the guy. So, it's really, and it's really important. And we all hope that it happens once and we want it to be really magical. But if your partner doesn't like heights, proposing from a hot air balloon isn't a great idea. As romantic as you might think it is and all of that sort of stuff, And then I kind of coach them through, what to say, how to say it, thinking about the journey, where they first met and, what all the mushy stuff that the girls love to hear. I say, look, this is your one chance. There's no do-overs when it comes to a beautiful proposal. You want to get it right the first time. So I do encourage the guys to write it down and to practice it and rehearse it a few times because it doesn't matter how confident a guy you are. And even someone like me who's pretty confident, I can still remember the day that I got down on one knee. I can tell you what, my heart was just racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So if you don't practice it and rehearse it, the chance it may go by and you may not have said all of the things that you want to say. So in the brides that I talk to, they don't remember, it was this or I knew it was coming. They remember the little things, and that they appreciate the effort. So when a guy goes out and puts that effort into it, that's what they remember. And they will remember the little things that you said. So you really want to make it, special, the way that she wants to receive it, and just basically tick all the boxes. I mean, it's one of those unique things as a guy that we ultimately get to own. We get to, and I know that might sound a little bit sexist in these day and ages, but for me, it was just one of those beautiful things that as a guy you get to own. But I guess the privilege in owning that is to make sure that you do justice to the experience.
So, Karl, I'd love to know, you get to get up and close and personal with, guys who are about to propose or couples that are about to get engaged or that, they're picking out their wedding bands and, that's quite an intimate moment in their love story and life story. I'd love to know, what are some of the things that you observe of couples who seem to be, truly happy and you feel like they're really going to make the distance?
I think it's really just about wanting the best for the other person. And in the couples that I see, the ones that want the best before the other person, before themselves, they're the ones that I find have a much stronger connection. So, if a couple's looking at a band and the lady says, honey, it's, that's wouldn't have been the preferred one that I like, but I really want you to love your ring. And if it makes you happy, then I want you to have the ring that you want. So it's that little thing of putting the other person's, I guess, needs and desires before their own is something that really makes a big difference. And I think when you come from that sort of selfless point of view, it really does help, strengthen that relationship long term.
And Karl, you alluded to your own proposal story there. Can you give us a little bit of a summary of your relationship status?
Yes. So, I mean, the hot air balloon was kind of was exactly how I did it. And I can tell you now, when I got down on one knee, it was in a hot air balloon and there was a lot of holes in the bottom of the wicker basket. And I remember thinking, God, I hope I don't drop this, So, it was about 4 years. My wife and I had been dating at that time. And the kind of the running joke in our family is my father-in-law was Robert De Niro from Meet the Parents. So, there I was asking for, his eldest daughter's hand in marriage. And, I felt like I had to outline, why I made a good candidate and was able to look after his daughter. And, finally gave me the seal of approval. So that is also one of the things I talk to the guys and say, look, hey, have you asked, for the father's hand in marriage? I'm a bit of a traditionalist at heart. And I think it's just a lovely touch, and in truth, in these days, it's not that we're really asking for permission. What we're really asking for is a blessing. But it's still a lovely gesture to make. Depending on how good the parents are at keeping a secret, I generally advocate for doing it the week of the proposal, because if you do it too early, they may not say anything, but they walk around the house with a silly grin on their face, and you go like, "There's something up. I don't know what it is," but
Nath had a good situation because he asked my mom, but my mom had been living overseas, so he managed to catch her. I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah, I managed to catch her in person over Christmas time, and then she flew out a day later or something. So there was no incidental kind of
goofy smiles.
Yeah,
she was able to keep it under wraps, but yeah, it was probably 5-6 month gap.
I think there was
long runway.
Yeah.
But I think some of that was kind of about what you were saying, that it was trying to curate that perfect moment. And I guess there was a lot of overthinking it from my perspective as well. I was trying to create something and then it would fall apart, and I would try and create something else and it would fall apart again. And yeah, it was a real challenge to try and curate a great experience.
You did good.
Well, you just got the tick of approval.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I guess I've been quite... I want to say lucky or blessed or grateful, because Nathan and I renewed our wedding vows at 5 years. So much in our life had changed in that time frame that we felt like it was kind of time to just honor that, we've gone through a whole heap of change in the last 5 years. And you know what? I want to choose you, and I want to choose you again and again and again. So Nath kind of asked me for a second time, which was really nice.
That's special.
Yeah, and maybe one day I'll ask him back.
I'd like some diamonds too.
Or maybe we'll have to come up to the shop, Karl. So I'd love to know a little bit about your own relationship. We mentioned in your bio that you've got 4 kids, and you run a business. You're an author. I know you do a lot of work in line with a few causes that you're really passionate about. But I'd love to know, what do you do in your own relationship to keep it fueled up in that state of dating forever?
Yeah, you said 4 children, but the truth is we had 4 kids under 2. So we had 1 and then triplets. Now, so many years on now, the triplets are 14 and the oldest one's 16. So, I always say that every stage of life has its unique challenges. And at the moment, I've got 4 teenagers at home, and, they're going through exams and hormones and all of that sort of stuff. So, yes, it can be really challenging. And for us, really, date night, so to speak, in the traditional sense, is pretty much no chance. So for us, it's really about family time. So every Sunday we have a tradition where we do a family roast. And the idea behind that is it's really, for me, about I want, even long after the kids leave, that they want to be able to come back and know that every Sunday night is family time, that we all get together. And that's we do eat almost every single dinner and, that sort of thing together. So we are very close in that way. But there's something really special for me around that family roast night. But in terms of dates and things like that, we try and schedule a one during the week, like a lunchtime. Actually, just had one today. So that's easier to kind of duck away for an hour, where the two of you can kind of talk over a nice meal, and without the stress and pressure of it being tired at the end of the day, worrying about kids' deadlines and homework, school uniforms, and lunches.
So we've heard you talk a little bit about wedding day diamonds. Can you just explain that concept and what it, I guess, involves?
Yeah, so most ladies know about this, but the guys usually don't. And that's okay. We understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, the wonderful thing is, it's really is the first set of diamonds that I guess the husband to be gives his wife on their wedding day. And, I sometimes talk about jewelry as in terms of storytelling. And, what I want and what I sometimes say is that, just like a picture that tells 1,000 words, your jewelry is like a novel of a lifetime of stories and memories. And what I want them, the brides, when they look at these earrings, to remember their wedding day and know that was a special time in their life. Every time, just walking past the mirror, it doesn't matter. You'll see them and be reminded that was the mark of that day. In the same way that we look at the push presents or, maternity rings. But, it's not just about for the guys. And again, this comes in a little bit into the coaching side and, being a little bit more romantic and, really going beyond a point where, their partners thought it was possible. And so what I coach the guys to do is we get them to write a little handwritten note. And wedding day diamonds are usually something like earrings because it won't impact on their hair or their dress. So it's very easy to incorporate into their wedding day attire. And so I get the guys to write a little personal note, something like, can't wait to see you walking down the aisle, all of that, again, all of the lovely mushy stuff that the girls love to read. And, I tell them how to do it, which is you give it to the chief bridesmaid, but you have to tell the bridesmaid, okay, you have to give it to her before she puts her makeup on, okay, because she's going to cry.
She's going to cry.
And the makeup artist isn't going to like you very much, okay? So, but it's that wonderful experience of, just being so connected to your partner in that really special way. And it's something that you'll look back on many years from now and look at that as such a fond memory.
Karl, on the show, we talk a little bit about our love languages. And if you're not familiar with the concept, it's this idea from Gary Chapman. There's 5 different languages that we each give and receive love in different ways. And mine is gifts. I love giving gifts, and I also love getting gifts. So I think it was really nice what you said that, about creating those moments of, surprise and delight and, those real thoughtful moments that are quite loaded with romance. And I guess those don't have to be contained to your wedding day. That's only one day, right? We've got a whole lifetime of moments. I know you mentioned a few there that I guess have become like romantic rituals around moments to honor and mark with, items that hold sentimental value. So do you have any in your own, I guess, love story?
So there was a little thing that my wife and I used to do when we were dating is I used to live about 1 or 2 streets away from university. So that's how we met, was at the University of Queensland. And she would park in what used to be called the Dust Bowl car park. And I was only 1 street away. And as I was either walking home or there, I used to put like a little flower or something that I'd picked along the way under the windscreen wiper of her car. And, the idea behind that is that she wouldn't see it straight away. But at some point on the drive home, she would look down and see it there. And so that's a little thing that every now and then that I'll do. And I guess it's just a beautiful little memory anchor of this sometimes. And it's a little thing, it doesn't take long and it's not expensive. But it's just a little personal thing that the both of us have.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I love that. So, Karl, you kind of touched on it earlier around this idea that obviously when we are on the precipice, on the edge of getting engaged and making that big commitment that we do hope is for forever, or that we hope that we're only going to do it once. I'd love your thoughts on how we can make it once. What are some top tips for a really great, long-lasting, thriving relationship?
I heard it once, and I don't know who said it, but it really rings true for me. And it's to have a really bad short-term memory. So, the whole idea behind it is that, when something happens, and nobody lives in a perfect life, and this illusion of a perfect marriage for me just doesn't exist. You have your ups, your downs, and the concept of just because it's broken, don't, chuck it out. But it's to have a really bad short-term memory. So, kind of like I try and start every day with a clean slate. And I find that hanging on to stuff that happened, a week, a month ago, doesn't really matter. You're not going to think about it really in 5 years or 10 years. And the stuff that we sometimes think is important in the moment just really isn't.
Yeah. So if some of our listeners are kind of in the runway up to potentially getting engaged or up to that stage, is there some conversations or is there something you would recommend for them to be doing, I guess, in the lead up?
Yeah, I guess it really comes down to the guys and how observant you are. And again, this is a little tip for the ladies. As much as you think guys take hints, we really don't. Okay, you like the subtle things that you guys do. Like unless the guy's really paying attention, he's not going to notice. Okay, so be a little bit more overt. So like I have sometimes clients come in where the lady has screenshotted the rings that she likes and send it to the guy and go, hey, when you're ready, this is, because like at some point you've had the conversation. Hey, where's this going? What's our future like? Where do we see each other in, 5 or 10 years time? So
well, I guess that's obviously the first piece we need to be doing. Is having those conversations.
I think there's really very rarely it's like, oh my God, this is totally out of the blue. I never even expected this. I think in this day and age, and I don't know what the stats are, but the last time I looked at it from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, it was something like about 90% of couples are living together before they get married. Like that's just pretty common these days. So, it's perfectly natural that you kind of almost get into this rhythm of what it's like every day. And, I'm sure that conversation comes up. But what I generally say to the guys is try and do your research as early in the piece as you can. Okay, so it's not like I'm researching today because I want to do it tomorrow or next week. I might start researching now because in 6 months to 12 months time, I want to do it. So I want to do a bit of research now, then create a lag so that there's no kind of, is it coming or is it not? And then, ask for some advice. And sometimes it's about narrowing it down to 3 or 4 things that you like or that she likes, and then letting the guy just choose one of those 3. And most ladies that I come across will love whatever you've chosen, okay? Because, again, you've put the effort. And also that's part of my job. So part of my job is working with the guys to kind of help them. And I do things like a style audit. So I'll ask them, show me what she looks like, what clothes does she wear, what jewelry does she wear, what's her skin tone. So having somebody like me in your corner that really can help you take out a lot of the guesswork if you haven't been particularly observant, can a lot of times put the guys at ease as to finding a ring that they're going to absolutely love.
And it's something that, you wear and look at every day. So you want it to be right. You want them to love it. But like you said, I think I probably would have loved whatever Nath had picked out. He would have had to go real wrong for me to be like, maybe try again.
Yeah, we stop the guys from going real wrong, that's for sure.
So Karl, I alluded to it before, but I know that you do some pretty special things as a result of running your business. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So there's 2 causes that I'm really passionate about, and really they kind of center around 2 themes, which is women and children. I don't know, that's just for me, it's just a really soft part. So for me, the first one is women's legal services, and that's against the fight against domestic violence against women. And we support their Dancing CEOs event that they run here in Brisbane. I don't think it's a national event yet, but I know they've probably got plans to do it. But essentially, they get a dozen CEOs to raise a truckload of money, and basically they get up on the stage and they dance for the amusement and the enjoyment of everybody in the audience. It is hilarious, and I'm actually one of the judges, so I'm there judging them, and there's no Todd McKenny's, and it's all just positive stuff. But they basically raise somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000, which is basically all of their running costs for the year. So I think that's just awesome. That there's a resource out there for women that are in trouble, don't know where to turn to. And it's, I find that, and I can probably share it, but, you'd be surprised at how many people are affected by domestic violence. And it's not always just women, it's children as well. But I've had 3 people that have worked for us that have been affected by domestic violence. So it really happens more than we probably realize. And it's a matter of raising awareness and raising the funds so that we can help break that cycle.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel really passionate about it. And, having 2 little girls, and a wife, I'd like to think that if something like that ever happened, there was somewhere where they could get supported going through that.
Absolutely. And I guess on that, to say thank you for joining us today, I believe you're a member as well at Buy One, Give One. We've made a contribution to a project in Borneo to provide a student in Indonesia a week of classroom education. So we really
that's great.
Thank you so much for making that possible. And that really aligns with one of our core values as well, which is really about being the change. So be the change that you want to see in the world and look upstream to the problems that you can be part of the solution.
And the other one that I'm really passionate about is the Starlight Foundation. So we make a contribution from every ring that we sell to the Starlight Foundation. And for those of you who don't know, the Starlight Foundation is basically kind of like the Make-A-Wish, where they grant wishes to kids that are really sick and in hospital. The average wish costs about $6,500. And last year we raised about 7 wishes for the Starlight Foundation. We do that, like I said, through the donations of the rings that we sell, but we also do some fundraising for them throughout the year. And I guess this for me really comes down to that central premise that, I think sometimes we forget how lucky we are, and coming from a place of just being grateful that if you're in a position where you can do something for somebody else, I think you pretty much have an obligation to help. And like for me, it's Women's Legal Services and the Starlight Foundation, and for you guys, it's through B1G1. And I just think if everyone just did a little bit, the world would just be a better place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. So if our listeners would like to learn a little bit more about you and about Xenox Diamonds, how should they connect with you?
Well, they can either go to our Facebook page, so that's just Xenox Diamonds, that's XENNOX diamonds.com.au. We're pretty active on social media, Instagram. They can also hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm pretty much there, just my name on LinkedIn. But they're probably the two best places to reach us, either through the website or our social media.
Or come into the store, right?
Or come into the store and we can have a nice whiskey and some champagne.
And check out that big chandelier.
Sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Perfect. Well, Nathan and I will be in next time we're in Brisbane.
Most definitely.
Thank you so much for joining us, Karl.
You're welcome, guys. Glad to be on the show.
Thanks heaps for joining us. If you love what we're doing here and want more, subscribe to the Date Forever podcast to make sure you never miss an ep. Come and hang out with us and other awesome couples who are fueling up their relationships in the Thriving Couples Collective Facebook group, or check us out at fuelcollective.com.au. Until next time, keep on dating, because better relationships equal a better world.